Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Chi Ta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Reading Committee's first virtual reading posse book club. I am so excited to be here with you to share my love of reading. I want to give a special shout out to all the students all over the country who are at home doing virtual learning. But I especially want to give a big shout out to the students in our partner school districts, those students who are in Conyers, Georgia, in Rockdale County School District, and those students who are in Covington, Georgia, in the Newton County School District. Hey, it is good to see you. I hope you see me. And we can't wait till the next time we're able to be back in the schools with you. And since the reading committee cannot come into the schools right now for our fabulous Female Fridays that we love doing, we wanted to continue to read to you and share our love of reading. And so we decided to do it the best way we can do it right now, and that's virtually. Today, you'll notice that I'm dressed a little different from what you normally see me. My hair is different. My clothing is different because I'm dressed up to represent a certain period in history, and that is the Harlem Renaissance Period. During the Harlem Renaissance, I want you to know that thousands of African Americans left the South and migrated to the North and Northeast and the Midwest. They went to cities like Chicago, Illinois. They went to cities like Detroit, Michigan. They went to Cleveland, Ohio, and New York City. And in New York City, they came together in this neighborhood called Harlem. That is where the Harlem Renaissance took place. During that time period, intellectual, social, and artistic explosions occurred. And it not only took place in Harlem, New York, but it began to spread across other cities in the country. So today, I'm going to be reading to you a book about one of the giants of the Harlem Renaissance period. Now, she was born and lived during the period leading up to the Renaissance, but the accomplishments that she made and the role model that she became extended over into the Harlem Renaissance period. And the person that I am reading about is Madam C.J. Walker. The title of this book is The Woman Behind the Hair Care Products for African Americans, Madam C.J. Walker. I'm sure you've heard that name before. That's who I'm trying to look like today. So I hope I'm doing a fairly decent job. This is a picture of Madam C.J. Walker. Actually, this picture became the picture that was on the United States postal stamp. Okay, so let's get started. Join me as I read about one of the greats, Madam C.J. Walker. This is an introduction. When you hear the word inventor, who do you think about? Most people don't think about an African American female. Most people don't think about a Black woman. Madam C.J. Walker was an unlikely inventor. She was a young, poor Black woman, born soon after the Civil War. However, at the age of 37, she became a pioneer in the hair care industry. She invented a brand of hair care products for Black women. She became a millionaire and inspired countless women around the world to follow her dream. Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker was born in 1867. Her name was Sarah Breedlove. She was the fifth of 6 children. She was the first child in her family born into freedom. Her family lived on a cotton plantation in Louisiana. As a child, Sarah picked cotton. She helped her mother wash clothes for other people. By the time Sarah was 7 years old, her parents had died. She lived with her older sister for a while, but her sister's husband did not treat her well. Sarah needed to get away from her cruel brother-in-law. She wanted a home of her own. She got it by marrying Moses McWilliams. She was just 14 years old at that time. 3 years later, the couple had a daughter named Layla. Sarah wanted to give Layla a better life than she had, but Moses died soon after that. Sarah became a single mother at the age of 20. She needed and wanted a new start. Sarah and Layla moved to St. Louis, Missouri in 1888. Sarah worked hard in St. Louis washing clothes. It was the only job that she really knew. She worked 6 days a week. Sundays was the day that she saved and reserved for church. And this is a picture of her washing clothes in a wash bucket and hanging those clothes on the line. Sarah saw many successful Black women. She wanted to be like them, but she didn't know how. She later said, "As I bent over the washboard and the wash bucket, I looked at my arms, buried in soap suds. I said to myself, what are you going to do when you grow old and your back gets stiff? Who is going to take care of your little girl?" Sarah worked hard and she saved her money. Sarah was able to send her daughter, Layla, to college. Now it was time for her to help herself. Sarah went to night school to better herself in her mind. She also wanted to improve the way she looked. Her hair was breaking off. Clumps of it was just falling out. In 1908, Sarah met Annie Pope Turnbull. Annie had a line of hair care products for Black women called Poro. She hired Sarah to sell the products for her door-to-door. Here is Annie Turnbull, a beautiful Black woman, a businesswoman. In 1905, Sarah wanted a fresh start, so she moved to Denver, Colorado. She worked very hard cooking, washing clothes, and selling Poro products. Sarah liked the idea of hair care products for Black women. Unfortunately, though, the Poro products didn't really work well in her hair. She believed that she could invent something better that would. Sarah began testing different ingredients. She tried, she failed, but she tried and tried again. Finally, she invented a mixture that she liked that worked in her hair. And at the age of 37, Sarah started her own business. Sarah met and married C.J. Walker in 1906. She began using the name Madam C.J. Walker. Her new business was called the Walker Company. Sarah and C.J. grew the business. She held events to show Black women how to use her products. She hired sales agents. The Walker Company was very special. It was created by Black people to better the lives of Black people. It provided jobs and education for thousands of Black women. Here is an ad from that time period of Madam C.J. Walker's product. The Walker Company grew quickly. Each month, more orders began to come in. Business was booming. When Layla finished college, Layla ran the company's mail order service. So here's a picture of Layla as an adult after she finished college. And she took over the mail order business for the Walker Company. Here is a picture of Madam C.J. Walker here in the middle. And she's wearing a black stole, kind of like the one I'm wearing today. And these are her sales associates that she hired and taught how to sell the product and run a business. Walker and CJ spent 18 months traveling the United States. Walker taught women about hair care products. She hired and trained sales agents. By 1907, Walker was making more money than most white men. In 1908, Walker and her family moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The large city had 16 railroad lines. It was perfect, and it made it very easy to ship Walker's products across the country. This is Union Station in Pittsburgh, and that is where the products were shipped from. Walker used her success to help other Black women. Most of them worked cleaning houses and doing laundry. Walker knew they were capable of much more. So she opened a college and named it after her daughter, Layla College, to teach Black women the skills they needed to get better jobs. Students at Layla College learned more than just hair care. They learned how to dress. They learned how to sell products door to door. Graduates were called hair culturists. They could even open their own salons and sell the Walker products in their own salons. Walker and CJ moved to Indianapolis, Indiana in 1910. The city had a well-developed Black business community. Walker's house was big enough for a small factory and a beauty salon, but her growing company needed much more room. She built a larger factory. The business was doing very well. Walker's marriage, unfortunately, did not. 2 years after they moved to Indianapolis, she and CJ divorced. But here is her first home in Indianapolis, and you can see it's quite large. And as I said, it was large enough to have a factory in it, and the company was growing, and she had to build a much larger factory. Booker T. Washington was an important Black leader in the early 1900s. Walker wanted very much to earn his respect, but he wouldn't let her speak to his business group. In 1912, Madam C.J. Walker went to a meeting of the National Negro Business League. She stood up, even though they didn't call on her, and she spoke up, and she said, "Surely you are not going to shut the door in my face." She told her story of going from the cotton fields to building a business. By the time she finished telling her story, she had won over the entire group. This is just a little bit of what she said. "I am a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. I came from there and I was promoted to the wash tub. From there, I was promoted to being a cook in a kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I have built my own factory and I own the ground that it sits on. That is what Madam C.J. Walker said at the business meeting where she won over not just the National Negro Business League, but she got the respect from Booker T. Washington. Walker worked hard to improve the lives of Black people. Many people could not afford food, housing, and health care. Walker donated money to groups that helped with those needs. She helped thousands of Black women get better paying jobs. She also spoke out against unfair treatment of Black people in general. Walker gave many people hope for a better life. In 1917, Walker helped organize a march in New York City that protested against violence against Black people. It was a silent march. And as you see, hundreds of Black people marching in New York City. And she was a part of organizing that. Walker moved to New York City in 1916. Her daughter Layla had opened up a fancy gathering place in Harlem, New York. Walker worked hard and enjoyed New York's parties and major events. A couple of years later, though, she left the hustle and bustle and business of the city, and she built a huge mansion on the Hudson River in Irvington, New York. The grand home shocked all the neighbors. They could not believe that a Black woman could build and own such a mansion. Walker kept working even when her health failed. She said, "I want to live to help my race." Here is Walker's mansion in Irvington, New York. And as you can see, I hope you can see, there are many, many Black women outside that mansion because these were the women that she had employed and that she had trained and she had educated. And so these were business women. Walker, unfortunately, died on May 25th, 1919, right after the start of the Harlem Renaissance. She was 51 years old at the time. So what kind of impact did she have on the Renaissance period? All those women that I showed you sitting outside that mansion lived past 1919 into the Harlem Renaissance. And these Black women were educated. They were business women. And they had learned from C.J. Walker that if you fail, you get up and you try again. And you never, ever give up on your dream. So one of the things I want you to remember out there in the virtual world, even though school has been canceled and you will not be returning to your respective schools this year, we want you to remember that you never give up. Never stop working hard. Have a dream. You can succeed. You can do anything you want to, just like Madam C.J. Walker. There are movies out right now about Madam C.J. Walker. One is on Netflix, and it's entitled, oh my God, I forgot the name of the title. And Self-Made. Self-Made is the title. And then also you can go to the Smithsonian Institute website, and they have videos on Madam C.J. Walker. This book is from the Smithsonian Institute. I've had a good time sharing one of my role models with you. And I hope you will have enjoyed or will enjoy the reading club posse book club from the Chi Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in Conyers and Covington, Georgia. Bye.